I joined on mute. I'm so sorry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third edition of the Bitcoin for Beginners webinar. My name is Conrad. I'll be your host today, and I'm joined here with Venze from the Bitcoin Advisors, as well as Riley. Riley is our executive Bitcoin advisor at the Bitcoin Well. We are super excited to tell you guys basically about why Bitcoin is so important and why Bitcoin should matter to you. And more importantly, like how Bitcoin is just a better form of money. Like we've been using money all of our lives, but we haven't had the opportunity to really explore different options of what money can be. So let's get started without further ado. Just share my screen with the presentation. Beautiful. All right. So I'm your host, Connor Fitzpatrick. I've been in Bitcoin for quite some time, as I'm sure Riley and Wednesday both have been in Bitcoin for quite some time. And this time in Bitcoin has allowed us to ask a lot of questions, really explore what Bitcoin is, and compare Bitcoin to the kind of temporary fads in the cryptocurrency sphere that we seem to see, really differentiating Bitcoin as being a truly unique and kind of one-of-a-kind asset. So yeah, let's dive in. So why Bitcoin? There's kind of three main factors that makes Bitcoin unique to government money, also known as fiat currency. So fiat currency has inflation. We kind of all been experiencing this. Why fiat currency has inflation, how fiat currency is inflated are kind of somewhat mystical, but Bitcoin doesn't really have inflation. This is because the amount of Bitcoin that are produced are fixed. Bitcoin is also resistant to censorship. You cannot stop a Bitcoin transaction. This is sometimes seem a little bit scary, and some people like to say that this is a bad thing about Bitcoin. But the ability to have a transaction go through, knowing it won't be reversed or stopped, is actually a huge and liberating kind of freedom type tool that really makes Bitcoin unique when you compare it to the traditional financial system. And how are all of these things achieved? Is there a group of people that are kind of, hitting yes or no on Bitcoin transactions? Is there like one person in charge just writing a bunch of rules and laws? Not really, actually. Bitcoin's really unique in the sense that it's not governed by people. It is governed by math. And that actually is one of the things that makes Bitcoin extremely strong and secure. So we're going to dive into all these things in a little bit more detail now. So inflation. So this chart here depicts the quantity of US dollars circulating the globe. Now, what we're seeing here is that we have these gray bars signal economic events. The first gray bar shows the financial crisis in 2008, and we see a little bit of a jump in the quantity of money, which is the blue line here. This basically taught the central banks that they can print money, buy back distressed assets, and use that as a way to kind of stop the economy from feeling the full force of maybe some sort of economic downturn. The consequence of printing money to buy back assets and prop up their prices essentially is that you end up making everything more expensive. If you have the same amount of homes, same amount of apples in an economy, but you make more dollars, then each home and each apple is going to be worth more in terms of the number of dollars. But it's not that each apple is actually becoming more valuable. It's just that the total number of dollars chasing that single apple happen to be increasing and increasing. So each dollar, in effect, like cutting a pizza into more and more slices, just becomes worth less of each slice is less pizza. Each dollar has less value. Now, Bitcoin is very different. Not only are we able to see that the new amount of Bitcoins is going to go down, but we can actually see into the future, right? This chart goes all the way up until 2041. And it can even go up to 2140 because that's when we know approximately when the last Bitcoin is going to be made, because we know that Bitcoin's supply is going to be capped at 21 million Bitcoin. So when we go back and we look at this chart doesn't go into the future because nobody knows what's going to happen to the dollars. What's going to happen to the dollars is in the like a few decision makers are going to just determine what happens to the number of dollars. We can't predict that. And all we know is that the amount of dollars that are going to be made is going to go up because inflation actually helps governments. Inflation doesn't help you and I. Inflation helps the government because the government has massive amounts of debt. And like mentioning before, if you're able to cut the pizza into more slices, then each slice has less value. That benefits the government by printing money because they're devaluing their own debt. They're making it cheaper and easier for them to pay back their own debt, which they turn around and just end up taking more debt. So it basically allows the government to keep inflating money and keeps debt spending. So if you want to avoid the fiat trap of getting all your savings inflated away, then you don't want to be saving or using fiat currency. You want to avoid it as much as possible. And something like Bitcoin with built-in scarcity guarantees that your Bitcoin will not be inflated away. That cannot happen. Next is censorship resistance. So this part is kind of politically charged, but it appeals to every end of the political spectrum. When you try to express your political will in the modern day, you have to do that almost financially. Whether it's donating to a campaign, transporting yourself to a particular venue to express your political will, all these things require money. And as we saw in the Hong Kong protests or in the Canadian truckers protests, if you're going against the government, they will shut off your your participation in the banking system, which in effect cuts off your ability to express your political will. It cuts off your ability to participate in the global economy and the local economy, and essentially is a form of censorship that almost keeps you in jail in your own home. Now, regardless of whether you're donating to Canadian truckers, you're donating to the Palestinians, or you're donating to Ukrainian citizens, any one of these political points of activism are being censored by governments involved on either the start or end point of the system. So if you're able to use Bitcoin, you can bypass all these financial intermediaries by sending Bitcoin directly from yourself to the individual. You don't have to go through a bank, which is where the money will get cut off. So Bitcoin ultimately enables the highest level of freedom possible because no bank can take away your money or stop you from transacting your Bitcoin. So that is why, in effect, Bitcoin is completely resistant to censorship. It just cannot be stopped by any government or any group of governments. Now, fiat money and fiat money related assets have been taken before. And this isn't like something that only happens if you donate to a political cause. The political cause could even be the way that your money is stored. In the 1930s, when the recession in the United States got really bad, it became political to invest in gold. They penalized gold holders by taking all of their gold. This was done under Executive Order 6102. You can Google this. It's like a very known event. And it was when the dollars in the United States started to move away from being backed fully by gold. It no longer says this dollar is fully redeemable like gold on them. You are not legally allowed to redeem your gold. This happened in 1932 when gold was about $30 an ounce. Gold went from $30 an ounce to $3,000 an ounce in the modern day. And that same time when they forcibly sold your gold and gave you dollars, those dollars devalued by 99%. The government does not take your savings in their interest. They only care about their savings. So like you do not want to have basically your money in a situation where the government can take it, because when they need it, when they feel they want it, they're going to take it from you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Lawyers tried to sue the US government saying that it was unconstitutional to steal their gold. They lost the case, which set up the legal precedent for every single bank to confiscate their customers' gold. The folks that held their gold in private custody, in self-custody, in their own homes, buried in the yard, wherever they held their gold, most of those folks, vast majority of them, were able to carry their gold decades into the future when eventually the private ownership of gold was once again legal. And that's basically what we encourage for Bitcoin. We encourage you to self-custody your Bitcoin so that you can be protected and you can make your own choices, whether you want to give away your Bitcoin or whatever you want to do. You have full control and ownership of your Bitcoin. So why am I so confident that Bitcoin allows you to do these things, like hold on to money without it being taken away from you, or there won't be more than 21 million Bitcoin? Well, this is because Bitcoin isn't governed by people. The Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve are run by unelected officials that make decisions with maybe some recommendations from political figures that we may or may not have voted for. Basically, like we saw today, the tariffs on China have been all over the place. And they're basically, if you're relying on economic policies to be ran by people, then those people, you'll have different people in charge. The people will change their opinions, circumstances will change, causing those people to change the rules of the game. And when the rules of the game change, you can get hurt in the crossfire essentially. And with Bitcoin, we know that's not possible because for two reasons. Bitcoin is based on math. What we see on our screen here describes the amount of new Bitcoin that will be made every day or every approximate 10 minutes, which is the time interval when new Bitcoins are made. We call these blocks. We can see all the information on basically the new creation of Bitcoin in this little snippet of code here. And if I was to go back that chart of all the new Bitcoins being made, that is what this code depicts visually. That's what the code depicts. And anybody can see this code. And if this code were to change, everybody would know. And you can't really change it because you would need like a 95% majority of everyone to agree to change it. So in essence, the amount of Bitcoin is not going to be changing. It's publicly always available. And this code is what determines it. There's not like a person in charge. Our CEO, Adam O'Brien, doesn't determine how many Bitcoin there is going to be, or Donald Trump or the CEO of Coinbase. Nobody can impact the amount of Bitcoin that exists. The only way that I can change is if everyone agrees for it to change. And that is essentially never going to happen because the scarcity of Bitcoin is why people like me and our Bitcoin Wallet team are passionate about Bitcoin, because we realize that Bitcoin is unique in its scarcity, in its transparency, in its ability to resist inflation and be a hedge against inflation, and as a freedom money that cannot be censored. Now, Bitcoin wallets are actually really unique because if you think of how you would typically store a financial asset like gold, like jewels, or even real estate, you typically have a security budget that you have to spend on this. If you have a gold safe, if you have a lot of gold, you have a safe to protect your gold. You might have cameras or even armed guards to watch it. And if you have armed guards watching your gold, you have armed guards transacting or moving your gold from location to location, because anyone who touches the gold can basically take it. But with Bitcoin is blocked by cybersecurity. Essentially, you have encrypted wallets that are free to make. Basically, these wallets cannot be hacked. You can download a variety of apps and create a free Bitcoin wallet. So you don't need to spend all this money on a massive expensive safe or armed guards or a small army. You have a Bitcoin wallet that can lock down your Bitcoin. You can get a slightly more, you can pay like $100 or $200 for a special computer that kind of protects your Bitcoin wallet. And then you're able to transact Bitcoin anywhere in the world securely. Very often at Bitcoin Wallet, we see transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain of $1 billion that go through. And these transaction fees are just a couple dollars. There's no other financial asset in the world where you can safely transact to anybody in the world any amount of money for $1 or $2. And if we're talking about the Lightning Network, which Bitcoin Wallet has recently added support for, you're able to send Bitcoin around the world instantly for zero fees. So basically, Bitcoin is really the best asset, and we offer the best ways to get this asset because you don't have to rely on us to hold on to the Bitcoin for you, because that would essentially expose you to the same issues that happened with gold 90 years ago, where banks were holding on to gold on behalf of customers. And when the government wrote a law saying, give us the gold, the banks had to say yes. So if we were like a custodial exchange, like a Coinbase or something like that, and if the government said, hey, we want you to give us all your Bitcoin, we would have no option but to say yes. But we do not hold on to your Bitcoin. So we are incapable of taking away your money. That's why we are so passionate about self-custody, because you get all the protection and you get all the freedom associated with owning Bitcoin. So how to buy Bitcoin? There's two main ways that we offer. The first is buying, say, small-ish amounts, under a few $1,000s. In Canada and the United States, we enable near instant purchases at a very low and competitive spread of 1.2% with zero hidden or added fees. Now, we send you the Bitcoin every single time. So we're even including the Bitcoin blockchain fee or the miner fee involved with actually transacting the Bitcoin. So we cover absolutely everything. 1.2% spread is the only thing that you'll be paying. And this is extremely competitive when you factor in the delivery of the Bitcoin and the additional security that you get of having the Bitcoin in your own possession immediately without having to ask for it. Because we see countless times on social media where customers are complaining because their crypto exchange is preventing them from taking self-custody of their crypto assets or their Bitcoin. And that is extremely problematic because that's what Bitcoin was designed to do. Bitcoin was designed to enable you to hold on to your money without a bank. And in essence, for you to become your own bank. Now, how to buy Bitcoin wallet? How to buy Bitcoin is extremely simple. The wallet that we recommend is Blue Wallet. Now, Blue Wallet, you can Google this. It's one of the most recommended wallets. But if you don't like Blue Wallet, you can choose others. And let's say you sign up with a Blue Wallet, you're going to be given a private key. And if your device has a malfunction, if you have some sort of issue, you can take that private key into a different device with Blue Wallet and recover all of your funds. You can even take that same private key into a different app other than Blue Wallet that runs the Bitcoin wallet software, and then you'll be able to recover your wallet on that. So it's like if you had this gold safe and your gold safe fell into the ocean, but you still had your key, you could plug that key into any other safe and your gold will still be there. That's basically how Bitcoin works. It allows you to always protect your Bitcoin with a single digital or a single key that is just basically 12 words that are presented to you through your wallet software. And then signing up for a Bitcoin wallet account is extremely quick and easy. All you need to do is sign up on our website, fill in a little bit of information. If you want to buy Bitcoin instantly or in very large amounts, then we encourage you to verify your account, as that will be the best way for you to do that. In Canada, we also have a way for you to buy Bitcoin privately through our ATMs. This is fantastic because it allows you to convert cash into Bitcoin without having to give up any of your personal identification information, allowing you to be more private about your Bitcoin investments and your Bitcoin saving. I'm going to pass this now along to our executive Bitcoin advisor, Riley Combs. Riley is with our Bitcoin Infinite team and will basically be able to handle anything that you need when it comes to making a large purchase. I'll let Riley introduce the service a little bit more and let him take it away.
All right, appreciate it. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. Solid presentation as always, Conrad, and so thanks for the introduction as you pass it along. My name is Riley. Like Conrad said, I'm the executive Bitcoin advisor for our Bitcoin Vault Infinite team. Our OTC service provides a personalized experience for individuals, businesses, and family offices who are looking to complete larger transactions of $50,000 and above. When you're working with Bitcoin Vault Infinite, you get direct access to myself and our other team members, and we're here to really help you every step of the way. We handle everything from having an intro call with you, going through our onboarding process, helping you send a wire from your bank to then ultimately executing the transaction itself, and then most importantly sending that Bitcoin to your self custody, like Conrad was kind of explaining, and just really doing that in an immediate and secure way. And then when you're dealing with large sums of fiat or Bitcoin, we really just want to make sure that our clients are very comfortable and you have an experienced Bitcoiner guiding you throughout the whole process along the way. And that's exactly what we're here for. And really kind of we work with anyone. We work with new clients of ours who have never bought Bitcoin before, or maybe this is their first time doing a larger lump sum purchase, and all the way to kind of that seasoned Bitcoiner who is looking for additional ways to gain access to deeper liquidity and seamless executions in terms with their trading. So if you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to me directly to the email that's above my head, or also our team's email, which is otc@bitcoinwell.com, or also directly on our website, bitcoinwell.com/OTC, and book a meeting with us in those different various channels. And from there, we'll hop on a call and just get a better sense of where you're at in your Bitcoin journey and really cater our service to you from there. So appreciate the time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Riley. And if you're looking to get a little bit of guidance and assistance on your Bitcoin journey, we have our friend here, Wednesday. Wednesday's from the Bitcoin Advisor. Wednesday, I won't interrupt you any further. I'll let you take it away. There we go. Perfect.
Thank you, Conrad. Hi, everyone. I'm Wenze van Klink. I'm working at the Bitcoin Advisor. I'm here to give you a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and how we help people just like you safely secure their Bitcoin. Our mission is simple: to help you buy, secure, and manage your Bitcoin so you can build wealth without losing sleep. Because let's be honest, self-custody, what we've been talking about in this session, can feel overwhelming, especially if you're new to Bitcoin. And that's where we come in. We specialize in something called collaborative multi-sig custody. It's a way of holding your Bitcoin where multiple keys are required to move the funds. Instead of relying on a single device or person, what we call an example of a single point of failure, your Bitcoin is protected by a distributed and secure setup. This is one of the safest methods of Bitcoin custody, and we've helped hundreds of clients around the world to implement this. We have a strong focus on long-term savings because holding Bitcoin isn't just about the next few months. It's about the next years or decades. And that, of course, includes inheritance planning, which is one of the most complex and often overlooked parts of self-custody. We walk with you through that process, helping ensure your Bitcoin is there for your children or beneficiaries when the time comes. Our standard custody setup is a 2 out of 3 collaborative multi-sig wallet. That means there are 3 keys, and 2 are needed to move funds. 1 key stays with you, 1 key stays with us, Bitcoin Advisor, as a key agent and support partner. And the third is held with a third party for inheritance or emergency recovery. This design protects you from loss, theft, phishing attacks, and even honest mistakes, while still giving you ultimate control. And here's the best part. If you're using Bitcoin well, you can buy Bitcoin and send it directly into this secure multi-sig vault. No stopping in an exchange wallet, no sitting in a hot wallet. Your Bitcoin is secure from the moment that you purchase it. Whether you're just starting out or you're planning for future generations, we're here to make sure your Bitcoin is safe, simple to manage, and built to last. Next slide. The previous. Here you go.
This one? Okay.
So why people trust the Bitcoin Advisor? Now that you've heard what we do, here's why people trust the Bitcoin Advisor. We've had 0 asset loss since 2016. And today we help secure over $2 billion worth in Bitcoin for individuals, families, and businesses around the world. Our clients value the peace of mind that they have, knowing their Bitcoin is protected for the long haul. We have a global team with more than 45 advisors. We support across multiple time zones and across your entire Bitcoin journey, from the first purchase to the inheritance planning. What makes us different is that we're always focused on delivering the best proven solutions. While we personalize custody plans as needed, we use the same trusted technology stack for all our clients. That consistency improves experience, simplifies support, and reduces risk, because you're not left navigating a unique setup alone. And when needed, we bring in trusted legal and tax partners to round out your plan. Even though we're based in Australia, we serve clients globally with some unique advantages when it comes to regulation and estate planning. In the end, we're here to help you take full control of your Bitcoin with the confidence that it's secure and built to last. Next slide. So, if you're looking to secure your Bitcoin with ease, book a free call with us to learn how we can help you buy, secure, and manage your Bitcoin, and how it all integrates smoothly with Bitcoin Well for secure direct-to-vault experience. We will help you get set up with confidence and peace of mind. Of course, I'll be sticking around for the Q&A, so if you have any questions about what we've covered, I would love to help. And if you're ready to take the next step, make sure to scan the QR code on the screen or visit the direct link to book after the call. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Wednesday. And you bring you at the Bitcoin Advisors, you guys bring a much needed service to the space. I try to work a multi-sig wallet myself, and it was a little tricky, it was a little bit turbulent. It's nice to be able to have that confidence to be able to really go all in with those purchases, knowing you have all these advisors, Riley and Wednesday here to really help you take it across the line. Really just makes it a full round service. All right. If you're looking to get started with Bitcoin Well and you haven't signed up and created an account yet, do sign up with the link mentioned on the image above. When you sign up with bitcoinwell.com/webinar, you're going to get extra points added to your account. Points are basically our way of saying thank you for signing up and using Bitcoin Well. When you redeem your points, you're able to play a game called the Bitcoin Wishing Well. And with that, you're able to basically win up to 1 million sats. Any amount of sats will be able to win anywhere from 210 sats all the way up to 1 million sats. So you're able to basically get some free Bitcoin. And whenever you refer a friend to Bitcoin Well, both of you get Bitcoin Wishing Well points as a thank you. So get out there, get signing up, or get referring your friends. Bitcoin self-custody is the best way to hold and store Bitcoin, which is the best asset. So it's basically the best way that you can invest your wealth. And let's see, we got also, we're going to quickly show you a little walkthrough on how to set up a wallet. Just quick reminder of what really makes us unique is that when you send dollars to Bitcoin Well, you get real Bitcoin. Now we say real Bitcoin because is Bitcoin real if someone else is holding it for you? Like, do you even know if the Bitcoin is actually there? You kind of don't. Like, you just are trusting that they say it's going to be there. And we've seen a lot of these situations in the past where Bitcoin has been on an exchange and then the exchange turns around and says, oops, daisies, we actually have in the Bitcoin, all your money is gone. Sorry. So that's kind of like fake Bitcoin or a lie. And so because Bitcoin is so cheap and easy to store yourself, we just send it to you every single time, which is the best way. There's no complicated orders or having to change the dollars to Bitcoin. You send dollars, we automatically convert that to Bitcoin and send it right to you. No work needed. We keep it easy. And if you want to keep learning more about Bitcoin, you want to learn more about how Bitcoin works, this math thing that I'm talking about. What's this math that guides Bitcoin and basically creates this system where everyone is voluntarily participating in Bitcoin? What is this math? How does it work? Why do people plug in these expensive and loud computer to try and earn Bitcoin? How does all that work? Well, you can learn more about that at the Bitcoin Academy. This is a free course that we built in collaboration with the University of Athabasca. Super engaging, short videos, great visuals. You're going to learn a lot, and it's not even going to feel like you're learning or you're going to school or anything like that. It's just going to feel like you're watching a fun video and you happen to learn a lot about Bitcoin. Speaking of fun videos that'll teach you about Bitcoin, I've got a wallet setup tutorial. This is basically if you're on the fence about making a Bitcoin wallet or making a free Bitcoin wallet sounds like it can be a little bit hard and complicated. Have no fear. It's actually super easy. I'm going to just play a video right now where I walk you through setting up Blue Wallet. This is the wallet that I recommend. I think it's the easiest wallet to use. But if you want to do more complicated things or use it with your hardware wallet device, Blue Wallet will still be compatible. So it's basically great for the beginner and the expert as you graduate to that, or if you're already an expert today. So let me just quickly change my screen to that, and we will be on our way. Okay. Sorry about that. Wrong page here. There we go. First, we're going to want to type in Blue Wallet into Google or whatever our search browser is. The first result should be the one that we're looking for, so we'll click on that. And then once we're there, we'll see options to download on mobile. We're going to download on desktop because we're on desktop today. This defaults to give me the Mac preview or download link because that's what I'm using. If you have PC, then you'll see the PC link there. After clicking that, we should either be brought directly or we have one more click left to get to the App Store, which will then allow us to start downloading. I'm at the App Store Blue Wallet section, and now I can download Blue Wallet. I can see the ratings and reviews and see that it's a widely used and popular Bitcoin wallet. Downloading is going to be fairly fast. Once we've downloaded that, we're ready to start setting up our Bitcoin wallet. Super quick and easy. Once we're in the Blue Wallet app itself, we're going to want to click on either the plus sign or add now to begin adding our Bitcoin wallet. I think I click here on the plus, And then we have a nickname we can provide. This is more just for like internal purposes for you to kind of keep track of it. Nobody else will see this, so you can name it whatever you like and leave the option on Bitcoin as it shows. Now here you see these are 12 words that represent the backup to your Bitcoin wallet. You know, if your computer, you know, falls into a black hole or whatever, disappears, you can download Blue Wallet on any device and then type in these 12 words and recover all of your Bitcoin. In essence, these 12 words kind of represent the key to your Bitcoin. You're going to want to take care of them. You don't want to take a picture of it. You don't want to save it to the cloud. You want to write these words down. And in case you accidentally rush through the process, no worries. You can go back into your wallet at any time and obtain your backup. Go to your export backup, verify it with your Face ID or Touch ID if you're on your phone, and then you'll see your 12 words again. Now note that each word has a number next to it. This number is actually really important because the words have to be in their specific order when they're entered into a device to back up your Bitcoin. All right, so now we got our wallet set up. All right, there we go. Super quick and easy. We can change how we view our wallet in dollars or in Bitcoin or in Satoshis, which are just fractions of a Bitcoin. Because one Bitcoin is pretty big, you know, 80 something thousand dollars today. So we are now going to start receiving Bitcoin into our Bitcoin wallet. These letters that you see here, it's kind of like an account number. It's how people can publicly transfer Bitcoin to you. So now we're going to go log into Bitcoin Well. We're going to log into our Bitcoin Well account and add this Bitcoin wallet to our account. When you saw those letters in the Blue Wallet, I clicked on them to copy them. I'll show you that once again. So we're logging in here. The beautiful Bitcoin Well app. If you haven't signed up yet, do sign up. It'll just take you a moment. Alrighty, so now I go to Buy Bitcoin. I click on Add Wallet. I add a wallet label. Just keep it simple. Bitcoin for Beginner, just like my Blue Wallet to keep things consistent and easy to track. Then I paste in my Bitcoin address. This is the number that I obtained from here, my receive section. This is how I receive Bitcoin. Okay, so I've confirmed it's the same numbers. That's good to always double check, and I've added it. Now that I've added it, when I send dollars to Bitcoin Well, I'm buying Bitcoin. The dollars are automatically converted into Bitcoin and sent to your Bitcoin wallet that is designated on the top of your screen. To send money to Bitcoin Well, use the e-transfer information shown above. If you're in Canada, if you're in the United States, it might look a little bit different. You will have to connect your bank account and then pull funds from that, as you're probably used to doing there as well. Here in Canada, we're used to doing e-transfer. We use the most popular way to kind of move money around from your bank in both places so that you can conveniently buy Bitcoin without having to do a lot of extra steps. So once we buy the Bitcoin, it's going to arrive here in my transaction section. And that's it. That's all you need to know to start buying Bitcoin through bitcoinwell.com. All right. So yeah, that was a quick little wallet.
Okay.
Let me just close that. And as you saw, like, you have to add a Bitcoin wallet for you to basically start buying Bitcoin through us. We do not hold on to your Bitcoin ever. So we only send Bitcoin to you, ensuring that your Bitcoin is the safest, because your Bitcoin is the safest when you don't have to trust somebody else, when you only have to hold on to it yourself. Sorry. Now, I appreciate everyone for sticking with us to the end. I hope you guys learned something about Bitcoin or about how to self-custody your Bitcoin. If you have any questions, I highly encourage you to ask them now. Ulysses is going to start, bringing your questions one at a time to the front. If you can, please address to one of us, either me, Riley, or Venze, to your questions, so that we can give you the best response. And give us a follow on Twitter or on X, as it's called now, at the Bitcoin Well. That's where we are going to get all the latest information on the cool stuff that we're doing, the stuff that we got in the pipeline, and just important news that's relevant and pertinent to Bitcoin.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. It was a great presentation. So just moving into the Q&A now. There is a question from Kathy. She is asking if you can explain the cash purchase option again.
Yeah, I kind of just rushed up to that a little bit. So Kathy, bear in mind that this is only available in Canada at the time. So we actually have quite a large number of ATMs across Canada. Bitcoin ATMs is actually how Bitcoin Well first got started. The online platform we introduced a few years ago to bring the convenience of dollars to Bitcoin instant conversions in an online format, so anybody could access that from their home or from on the go. But the ATMs are very convenient because it allows you to convert cash into Bitcoin at essentially the cheapest rate possible compared to any other competitor. So this is through our system called Cash Vouchers. You make a great note. I'm actually going to make sure to include this in our next webinar and make sure that we can talk about this a little bit more to our audience, because this is one of our key features. And essentially, Kathy, the way it works is you would sign up for a Bitcoin Wallet account. You don't add in any additional information beyond your email address and your Bitcoin wallet, meaning you don't verify your account and you don't submit any of your IDs. When you go to your Buy Bitcoin page, you'll have a section there called Cash Vouchers. And that cash voucher, when you click on it, there's a QR code. You can take that QR code to any of our Bitcoin Well ATMs. You can find these by just Googling Bitcoin Well Cash Vouchers. And when you click on that link, there will be a web page with a map of all of our Bitcoin Well ATMs that support our cash vouchers. And so when you insert cash and link your cash voucher account at the ATM, the cash voucher is going to be present in your Bitcoin Well account, allowing you to take that cash and purchase Bitcoin with it online, send it right away to your wallet at a time that is most convenient to you, while being able to retain privacy and not having to submit any of your IDs for verification. If you're interested in maybe an online tutorial before the next webinar, when I'll make sure to discuss this in greater detail, you can check out one of our partners. His name is BTC Sessions. He does a terrific walkthrough on the cash voucher system from the start of setup to going to an ATM, scanning the cash voucher code, inserting cash, and making the purchase. The entire step-by-step process is outlined there. His name is BTC Sessions, and that's for his cash voucher tutorial. Great question, Kathy, and thanks for bringing that up. We'll make sure to include that for future audiences.
Awesome, Conrad. Thank you so much. And anybody that wants to ask a question directly, feel free to raise your hand, and I will let you guys in and ask that question. I do have another question here. Conrad, if you don't mind explaining what the Lightning Network is.
Sure. So as I mentioned before, we have these things called blocks, which is basically an interval of about 10 minutes when a group of Bitcoin transactions are processed by all the folks running the Bitcoin network. Now, this design is very intentional. It allows the Bitcoin transactions to be approved in a slow and steady state, ensuring everything can be verified and secured. However, a group of transactions going through every 10 minutes might make it a little bit harder for you to pay your buddy back for that coffee you just bought. So what we've been embracing, and some Bitcoiners have been embracing, is this thing called the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network, in essence, allows you to send Bitcoin around very quickly at very low costs. If we think of the main Bitcoin blockchain as kind of like being a highway, the highway can kind of get a little bit of traffic and get a little bit slow. The Lightning Network is kind of like a super fast bullet subway. Like, it's not on the main highway. You go off the main highway, you transact this bullet subway where everything's moving around super fast, but it's still the same type of network. It's still a transportation network. It's still part of the Bitcoin overall network. It's just a different kind of route that your Bitcoin can travel, and it kind of stays in that little subway area. It's kind of like a more kind of like secondary area for that Bitcoin to transact. Might be a little bit more complicated than that. But it basically is, it's a cheaper, faster way to send Bitcoin. In Canada, we have this tool that allows you to move your Bitcoin from the Bitcoin blockchain, the highway, to the Lightning Network, then back and forth for zero fees. And keep your eyes peeled, because we're going to have something very similar coming like that in the States. So keep your eyes peeled on that.
Thank you, Conrad. I do have a question here from Heather. She's asking, as someone who hopes to close into retirement in the next decade, how do you view registered accounts like TFSA or RSPs, since self-custody Bitcoin cannot be bought in those registered accounts?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenging situation. I think the answer might kind of depend on your personal situation, but I think the value of having Bitcoin that can't be confiscated in any sense, or isn't going to be mismanaged by anybody, like any type of bank or ill investment, is really a safe way. It's jurisdictionless, so You don't have to worry about some jurisdiction making some sort of regulatory or tax involved change. Like you're pretty much kind of very secure on holding your Bitcoin there. Potentially, Riley might have a great answer. I know, when we're looking at, our large clients, investing in real estate versus investing in stocks or Bitcoin is always a question that's coming up. So yeah, Riley, if you have anything you'd like to contribute there, I'd love to get your executive Bitcoin advisor take on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to kind of, everyone and their situation, and certainly, I can provide, my opinions, but definitely want to like make sure that people are talking to, their accountant or their, financial advisor, to kind of get, more details and better understand, the situation and the tax consequences that may come out of, some decisions. So, what I typically see people do, especially when it comes to retirement accounts or pensions, and maybe they're not wanting to take the tax penalty, they then will just kind of, convert, sell off, maybe their bond position, or, maybe some other just kind of losers that are within their portfolio, and just kind of go into to kind of build up their cash balance within their account. And then, take that money and, allocate that into the Bitcoin ETFs or, other kind of Bitcoin proxies, whether that be Bitcoin mining companies, MicroStrategy, for example, or some of the other companies that are actively putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Or sometimes people, once they kind of, run the numbers themselves or with a tax and financial advisor, sometimes they're willing to just take the tax hit because they know that they'll make it up in the back end with Bitcoin's appreciation, and they'll liquidate their some of their retirement account, take the tax penalty that comes with that, and be able to buy spot Bitcoin, so they can take that into self custody and not open themselves up to the risk of their brokerage institution, and then the ETF issuers themselves as well. And then we're certainly starting to hear a lot of people who are maybe selling their business, or they're selling rental properties, and they're taking those proceeds from those sales and rolling them into Bitcoin.
Thanks, Riley. Terrific answer. I think it depends kind of on your own situation, but you're betting on the best performing asset of all time with incredibly unique properties. So
I mean, people are getting a CAGR of 50 to 60% right now just by buying Bitcoin and sitting on their hands. The best hedge funds who are actively trading every day are maybe making 20% to 30% a year. So
all right, guys, thank you for that. I do have two questions in here. They're very similar. They're asking really about Aqua Wallet. I'll just read both of them and then you guys can take over. So I've been using, this is by Kathy. I've been using Aqua Wallet when sending in Canadian dollars. The amount is less than what I send. I'm assuming that the Aqua Wallet based on the US dollar. Is that correct? And then we have Avia's question. And she's saying, as a newcomer to Bitcoin, I've been stacking since December 2024 to my Aqua wallet. I have a cold card queue. The problem is Aqua's not compatible with the queue. Is there an easier way to transfer Bitcoin to cold wallet without creating another wallet, i.e. Sparrow?
I mean, there's definitely a kind of few ways as to how you can potentially recover those same words into Sparrow. So when I described in the if you call the wallet tutorial where you see those 12 words, those 12 words can be entered on any different kind of Bitcoin wallet software. So in that example, I had Blue Wallet. I could take those 12 words and put them into a Sparrow wallet and recover my Bitcoin through Sparrow. In the exact same essence, you'd be able to take your recovery phrase or your seed phrase or your private key from your Aqua wallet and recover that within the Sparrow wallet. That's one of the things that makes Bitcoin wallets really special is that you don't have to trust any specific one. You know that if one's giving you a particular issue, that you can recover your funds on another one. In general, you kind of want to restrict the amount of times you kind of enter your private key in somewhere. So some folks, instead of recovering their seed phrase on another wallet, might just say, I'm just gonna send a new transaction. I'll send all my Bitcoin across into a new wallet that I've created, and then that way I don't have to worry about entering a seed phrase. It's kind of that. Those are basically I'd say like the two main ways. There's another function called a sweep, but that's kind of become a little bit less common. I generally would recommend sweeping because there have been some issues in the past. I think that's why people usually move towards either just transacting or recovering. With regards to your denomination appearing a little bit off in Aqua Wallet, yeah, that could be due to the currency setting that you have. I have Blue Wallet, and I think it defaults to US dollars. So once I was like, whoa, like what happened to all my Bitcoin? Where did it all go? And I realized it was just set to US dollars. You should be able to set that within the settings, and there should be a currency feature where you can pick different currencies. Since Bitcoin is embraced and used by people all over the world, there's pretty much every currency imaginable is supported on these Bitcoin wallets because Bitcoin is for everybody. It's not just for any specific region or person. I hope that answered your question, Kathy. And the other fella.
Awesome, Conrad. Thank you. This question is for the Bitcoin Advisor. Kathy's asking regarding Bitcoin Advisor, what cost approximately would I be looking at for their services?
So yeah, that's a good question. So we charge a percentage for assets under management. So for the first 4 years, it's 1%. Then it goes down to 0.75, and after another 4 years, it goes down to 0.5%. And for that fee, you get the service of the wallet setup, so the collaborative multisig wallets. You get phone calls, scheduled phone calls. You get support with your buys, your manage your inheritance plan. So we help you with setting up an estate plan protocol. You get early access to any additional service that we can provide. And in general, it's a white glove service, so you can always reach out to us. So there's a one fee, and that includes everything.
Thank you, Vinzi. And just in case the audience members might be curious, can you just quickly explain what multisig is and how your service kind of provides an extra layer of security?
Yeah, so I've tried to present that in my slide and to keep it simple because, well, it's Bitcoin for beginners, right? So normally when you want to move around Bitcoin, you have to sign a transaction, which you do with what we call a private key. It's like a password. And in a normal setup, like with Blue Wallet or what we were just talking about, there's only one key. And that means that with that one key, you can move to Bitcoin. And there are some downsides to that. For example, if you lose the key or somebody else get access to that key, they can control your funds. So they come up with some clever solutions, what is called multisig. So instead of one key, there's multiple. And in our solution, there are 3 keys. So one is held by the client, one is held by us, the Bitcoin Advisor, and one is held by a recovery partner. And there's always 2 keys that are needed to move to Bitcoin. And the beautiful thing here in this setup is that, for example, if you lose your key, you can still ask the Bitcoin Advisor to work with the recovery partner to move the funds in your behalf. So that can be either if you make a mistake or if you need to pass on your Bitcoin to your loved ones because you're not there anymore. But the normal workflow would be that if you want to make a transaction, you would create it, you would sign it with your key, you would ask the Bitcoin Advisor to sign, and we would sign with the second key, and you can move the funds. And this offers all kind of level of protection, for example, against theft, losing your key, but you still have backup solutions in case something goes wrong. So that's what you can do with the multisig wallet.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Vinzi.
You're welcome.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. I do have another question. This one's from Carly. I think Blue Wallet is only for phones and not desktop. Is there a hot wallet that you recommend that can be on a computer? She says she's been looking at Sparrow, but didn't choose yet.
So in the example, I am using a Mac computer, which might be the barrier. I may have been incorrect in that there is not a Blue Wallet option for desktop on PC. I haven't actually used a PC in quite a long time, but Sparrow Wallet is definitely like a top wallet. Coldcard is a pretty strong and reputable company. In general, when a company like that makes a recommendation for a wallet, I would be pretty confident in Coldcard's wallet recommendations. I've seen their tutorials and I've heard in their testimonials that Sparrow Wallet has worked great for cold card customers. I'm going to actually be setting up a Sparrow Wallet for my cold card myself. I have not yet done it yet though. So if Venza or Riley have any experience with either Sparrow Wallet on PC desktop, or they have a preferred PC desktop hot wallet, I'd love them to share and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend Sparrow as well. And kind of like Conrad plugged a little bit ago in the presentation, our partner BTC Sessions has, hundreds of videos of, various products and services within the Bitcoin industry. And with that, he makes tutorial videos on both hardware wallets and software wallets, or, in this instance, using something like Sparrow, paired with the cold card to be able to have that interface. Because, for example, another great Canadian hardware provider, Blockstream Jade, they actually have their own interface that you can use that's using in coordination with the hardware wallet itself, but then also being able to send and receive on your desktop. Whereas Cold Card, they just use Sparrow or other, open source technologies like Spectre and things like that.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Thanks for that.
guys.
Thanks for that,
Thank
Ryan.
you. And then I guess for the last question, what is the difference between Bitcoin and crypto?
This is a great question. It's hard to kind of pin this one down. The way that I would kind of describe it as someone who actually worked in quote unquote crypto for a little while, Bitcoin was invented first. It was the first successful implementation of, let's call it, cryptographic wallets and some sort of public coin distribution system, which we call mining and the creation of new Bitcoins. But as Bitcoin was being worked on for a few years, some people were kind of tinkering and they kind of replicated that technology. But what made Bitcoin's creation really unique was it was founded by this anonymous person called Satoshi Nakamoto, which many of you may have heard that name before. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Satoshi Nakamoto left the Bitcoin project in terms of contributing and working on it a couple of years into the development of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was still very new, maybe priced at a couple of cents. And since then, Bitcoin's been just run by regular people. There is no CEO of Bitcoin. There is no one in charge. There's no single person or group of people that call the shots in Bitcoin. But all these Bitcoin copycats, known as cryptocurrencies, have come onto the scene, and they all have this central figure that gave themselves a lot of that coin in the beginning. And then they tell other people that they should buy this coin because it's going to solve some sort of various problems. But the real problem is that they're kind of just telling you to give them money because they're selling their coins and you're buying them. So it's like they got this coin for free and you're giving them money for it. That's like really unfair. And then the problem is as these kind of crypto companies end up getting a lot of money, the CEOs of these crypto companies can spend a lot of money on marketing and lobbying even, and trying to convince other people to buy their coin, which is why some of these coins that personally, in my opinion, I would call Ethereum a scam, but Ethereum has been able to live on for so long that they've enabled this marketing effort that's convinced a lot of people that Ethereum might be a world computer or some sort of fancy, whatever their marketing speak is. But in essence, like that is kind of, I think, a false claim. And I don't think Ethereum solves any real world problems. Bitcoin solves a problem of making money that's not controlled by anybody. It uses a slow and expensive process called the blockchain to do this securely. Other companies that claim to use a cryptocurrency and a blockchain to do things fast and efficiently, it's actually like grossly inaccurate. A blockchain consumes a lot of energy and it does not move quickly for the sole purpose of having uncompromising security. And that is why Bitcoin is not hacked. That's why the supply of Bitcoin is always 21 million. And that's why Bitcoin cannot be stopped, because it has uncompromising security in the form of a blockchain that everybody wants to work on because they can earn some Bitcoin. I might be a little bit of like a long-winded or even short-winded answer, depending on how you want to go into it. I think Riley, Wednesday, Ulysses, and I, we've all spent years asking that question. And ultimately, our realization of what makes Bitcoin truly unique is why we chose a Bitcoin-only business. Bitcoin, well, we only offer Bitcoin. We don't sell if you log on to our website, you're not going to see a list of all these different cryptocurrencies, right? We call these casinos, like Coinbase, with all these different currencies, and we essentially call those casinos because you're kind of just gambling. You're guessing. You might be buying a meme coin, so they call them nowadays. I remember when they were called ICOs, and then they were NFTs, and then they were DeFi. It seems there's always a new word and a new marketing pitch for these new cryptocurrencies that they're making, and there's always a few people that are really benefiting and getting rich, but most people are losing their money. And that's ultimately what makes Bitcoin different, is that if you just hold Bitcoin long enough, you're going to get, as Riley mentioned, that 50% average annual return. And no one, just hold on to your Bitcoin and just live your life, and your Bitcoin will do the work for you. Crypto is we often kind of say Bitcoin is not crypto, or Bitcoin and crypto are different. And it's mainly, just kind of in summary, due to who controls it, why it was created, and the purpose of buying it.
Yeah, or to put it simply, crypto is really just like fiat or the stock market 2.0 with extra like hoops to jump through. But it still opens you up to all the counterparty risks where, you have founders, you have this like foundation, or even you may not even know the individuals behind the project, and they have total control over it. Whether that be, the new, upgrades that happen, or even control with the supply, and therefore, dilute people over time. And then as well, the simplest way to really be able to see it in real time is, Ethereum or all these other, different cryptocurrencies. If you just simply, Google kind of, for example, ETH divided by Bitcoin, you see that all of these are trending towards zero in Bitcoin terms. And so while like their normal chart may show that, they're going up a little bit, and maybe, coming back down, especially in kind of the current market conditions today. But when you actually price all these other assets in Bitcoin, they're all trending towards zero. And that easily, visualize to everyone that, Bitcoin is the superior asset.
I love it, guys. Great answers to that question. I have Lori here that raised her hand. So if she can go ahead and ask her question. She is just muted. I think she will have to unmute herself, and then she'd be able to ask that question.
Terrific. Hi, Lori. I'd love to hear your question. I don't know if there's a way we can unmute for you, unfortunately. Let's see. I think I see your question here in the chats. Bitcoin Academy. Basically, you're just looking for to learn a little bit more about the Bitcoin Academy. And yeah, that's great. The Bitcoin Academy is an amazing place for you to learn more about Bitcoin. Lori, I'll respond to you and to everybody who attend this webinar with a link to our Bitcoin Academy. It's free to sign up and participate and complete the Bitcoin Academy. I highly recommend it. I've completed it. I learned a few things about Bitcoin, even though I've been there for a while, but nothing was like complicated or hard to digest. So it's all simple, entertaining, educational, and kind of like I mentioned before, you learn a lot about realizing you're learning. So we'll make sure to provide a link to that after the show. Sorry, the webinar.
Absolutely. The link is already on the chat. It's just bitcoinwall.com/learn. So you can go ahead and click that, and it'll take you directly to our Bitcoin Academy.
Terrific.
Awesome.
And Ellie, do we have any more questions? We're nearing on our hour here.
Yeah, it is all done. We do not have more questions.
Terrific. Okay, so everybody, thank you so very much for joining us today. Everyone who asked a question, we greatly value your curiosity and your passion in learning more about Bitcoin. A huge round of applause to Venze and Riley for taking time out of their busy work days to make my presentation better by elevating it and giving a lot of expert advice and answering questions to a level that I wouldn't be able to. I think it's one of the things kind of like symbolically that makes Bitcoin great is that there's no kind of one person in charge. It's more just about everyone kind of just working together. We're all here to help one another out. When we're not working in Bitcoin, we're still talking about Bitcoin because Bitcoin's the better money and it helps people. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. So thank you everyone for joining in. And thanks again to Riley and Venze.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for organizing, Conrad.
Have a great day.
Everyone.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Everyone.
Take care, everyone. You'll see a follow-up email from me shortly. Alrighty, take care.